What's up, YouTube? This is Zapatista44. I wanted to make a video about the going-ons regarding the increase in tornadoes we've had this year. Let me find my page. Okay, for starters, 85% of the tornadoes occur in the U.S. So that's why I'm not going to include anything to do with the rest of the world. Alrighty, let's get started. First one was a quote from this article, which is right here. I included it on this page. Single EF5 hit the United States in 2008. That's the highest tornado that can exist. It goes from EF0 up to EF5. And that was there was one in 2008, one in 2007, and before that you have to go back to 1999. And there's some stats on that here. It says here up to 200 miles per hour, if you can imagine that. So this is what it was. We had one per year for like a total of 3 for about 12 years, and in 2011 we had 6 of them. So 6 EF5s in 1 year is pretty amazing. That normally doesn't happen. And since 1950 we've had a total of 50 EF5, basically killer tornadoes. So to have 6 in 1 year is pretty out there. And this quote was from another article. It's just remarkable from a meteorological point of view, said some guy. Superstorms are formed by instability. Yesterday's instability and the instability of the storms that hit Tuscaloosa is just about as large as I've ever seen. Now you'll see scientists make quotes like this a lot lately. If you peruse all these articles, they'll be talking about, I've never seen this before. It's the largest, biggest, craziest ever. So I wanted to include that quote, and I'll be putting all the links for the websites down below. Now, comparing the deaths from the last few years to this year, we had 126 in 2008. This is deaths from tornadoes. 21 in 2009, 45 in 2010. Now, a couple of these articles, they were from May because that's when a lot of the going-ons were with tornadoes. It happens in the spring mostly, April and May. That's when it peaks. So some of the numbers there will be incorrect, but I did get the latest numbers from August on some of these websites to update it. So on like some of these websites, it'll be like 503 deaths, but it's actually been more than that. So a 3-year average of the last 3 years was 64 deaths per year. In 2011, we had 550. And that was as of yesterday. So quite an uptick in the amount of people that died from hurricanes. And also, hurricanes are not actually, the deaths from these tornadoes are not actually equal, in that back in the day, more people died because we didn't have a warning system. Around 1950, due to this year here where there was 519 deaths, in 1953 we created the NOAA, which is basically the U.S. Weather Service, and they monitor all the storms, and they basically decided to create a warning system. So from this point forward, people get a warning. For instance, in Joplin, they were given 24 minutes warning. And for every 6 to 15 minutes of warning, 40% people less die. So if you're able to warn them, the numbers come way down. So comparing the 550 is the actual number to what went on here is kind of, it's not really the same thing. Also, we now have a greater amount of storm cell. There's building codes that basically are built into buildings to basically for fires, fire escapes, fire alarms, and hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes. There's basically, buildings are built differently now, so you can't really compare 550 deaths here to these here because we actually do things a lot better. So it's actually surprising that that many people would die. That means the storms are that much more powerful, which is indicated by this number here of 6 EF5s. So since this was older material, it says we haven't had that high level of death since 1953. Well, this is actually 550, so you'd actually have to go back to 1936 to compare the amount of deaths. And that number, I couldn't get the exact number, but we may actually have had more than 1936. But let's say it's about equal. That's 75 years ago. So this is the most deaths we've had in 1 year in 2011 since 1936. And prior to that, you'd have to go to like 1925 to pass that amount. I think it's 1917 and 1894. So there's only been a few instances where this many people have died, and it was quite a long time ago. And the 550 deaths is 7 times the average. The average that I found was 80 per year usually die in tornadoes, and this year were 7 times that. I already mentioned this. Over 500 deaths only occurred in these years: 1953, 36, twice in the 1920s. And the one in 36, there was, I couldn't get the exact number to compare to this year, but it's 203 died in Gainesville and 216 died in Tupelo. Interesting fact is Elvis and his mother survived that, so if they hadn't, there would have been no king, though I'm partial to Chuck Berry, actually. Here's another quote from one of these articles up here. April is especially busy, contributing to one of the most severe spring tornado seasons on record. NOAA officials estimate there have been almost 1,000. I actually have the updated number for that. It's more. Double the total of a typical year. Again, some of these articles were from May. With storms ranging from Missouri to North Carolina. This year's tally of 50 fatal tornadoes compares with about 20 average in a year. So normally we get 20 fatal tornadoes per year. In 2011 we got 50. And in April 2011, the largest one-day outbreak of tornadoes to date, when 226 twisters were reported during a single 24-hour period on April 27th. All told, the cluster of tornadoes, which continued the following day, killed more than 340 people. And I also wanted to include this in here, because this is what is causing it. This was a quote from our amazing planet. The sea surface temperature of the Gulf of Mexico is between 1.8 and 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit, warmer than average. So basically, the storms are going to continue beyond this year. They'll probably be even stronger next year. That's what climate scientists have been telling us. Tornado basically is caused by cool, dry air meeting warm, moist air, and that's why they occur in the spring. And we've been having record snowfalls like we did this past winter, which is why global warming is not a good word, because it leads people astray as far as, everything is about getting hotter. Climate change is better because it basically means hotter is getting hotter and colder is getting colder. That's basically what is happening, and that's what's leading to more severe storms. So you won't find anybody saying that the sea surface temperature is going down or going the other way. So it's good to note that basically what scientists are saying is that you can expect more storms like this, more deadly storms and stronger storms. And this spring's outbreak surpasses any since '53. It's actually since 1936, as I pointed out, 75 years ago. You can get the numbers here from the August reports. And this was actually pointing out what I already said. We didn't have warning back then, so you can't really compare the death toll to today. And this last one, there were 875 tornadoes reported in the U.S. in April. 753 have been confirmed. They were saying that maybe not that many would be confirmed, but since then we actually have had the majority of them were confirmed to be true. That set a new all-time monthly record, significantly exceeding the previous record of 552 in May 2003, and nearly tripling the old record for April, which was 267 in 1974. So basically all these websites have, let's play a quick clip of this video. Okay, that was from May. You can see here May 23rd. I have the updated number here. There it is, 1,217. These are actual verified. 1,732, I guess, have been reported. These are preliminary. These are actual. So it's been more than double the amount of tornadoes that have been verified. And here, this number was 550 yesterday. 6 people became undead overnight, I guess. That's usually how it works with the government or official government agencies, which is good to keep in mind that when you see these numbers, you can actually assume it's a little bit worse, because if you follow it on a day-by-day basis, you'll see that they basically take a 6.2 earthquake and make it a 5.9 and so on, and underreport facts, because if people really knew what was going on, they'd freak out. So anyhow, I'm going to place all these links here. There's some really good details you can look up on some of these and look into it further, but clearly we're having an increase, just like in my other video about earthquakes, we're also having an increase in tornadoes.